Peace and welcome, family. Welcome to another episode of Moments in Mastery. Moments in Mastery. Hopefully, you've been checking out us every week as we show up for you, and do our best to show out for you, dropping some jewels and just discussing mastery, self mastery, because that's what Masternomics is about. It's about self mastery, personal development, professional development, business development, spiritual development. It's literally all about development. I myself am a entrepreneurial coach, but what I do more than anything is help develop the minds of people. So sitting here with my beautiful wife, and we was going over last week's class, and we had a lot of questions.
A lot of feedback.
Yeah, a lot of feedback, which is good, right? Because we like to add that there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? Right. I mean, the only way we're gonna learn is you ask a question. So we got a lot of questions, and today we're gonna go deeper. I want to talk about knowledge of self, or knowing thyself. We hear it a lot, right? Know thyself. So we're gonna let's talk about know thyself, what it means, what it doesn't mean, but more importantly, like, what does it mean to us as a people, to you? I'm gonna discuss my perspective, right, and then we'll dig into where this comes from. Know thyself. So what does that mean to you? Know thyself.
Well, if I'm being honest, when I say know thyself, what I really mean is to know that you are one with God, to know that you are one with everything in existence, that you are one with everything in the universe. And so when I post know thyself, it's like to come back to awareness of the full power, the full potential, the full magic of who you truly are. And so when you know yourself, you know that you are one with the infinite. You're one with the all. And so then there's no limits to what you can do. There's no limits to your power. You don't have any fear. You don't have any worries, because you know that you are one with all and all is one with you. And so it's like the saying, if God is for me, who could be against me? Because even if you are against me, it don't matter. And so to know yourself is to know that all of the magic of who you are, all of that, what you are, because the only problem any man or any woman have ever faced in their life is they forgot who they are. And so when I say remember who you are, when I say know who you are, that is saying call your power back to yourself, of remembering that you are one with God. And when you know that you're one with God, you know that you can't be defeated. The only way you can be defeated is when you forget of who you are. And what was the last one of the podcasts before, it was when you said the way that we became enslaved people is because we forgot who we are. And the moment we started to remember who we are is the moment we fought for our freedom, because it was like, you can't enslave me. And so once you remember who you are, you can't be enslaved. Once you remember who you are, you can't be manipulated. Once you remember who you are, you can't be played with. And so to remember who you are is to remember that you too are one with God.
So know thyself. And from my early studies, right, when I first got into knowledge of self, learning who I was, and that was like culturally learning who I was, as a black man in America, realizing I'm just not a nigga, or I wasn't just a slave or whatever, right? And then I studied early in life our ancient ancestors, and you study the deity Tahuti, right? And Tahuti, many mystical societies, everybody borrows from, Tahuti, his wisdom, right? And so one of his sayings is know thyself. So, as I was studying, and if you study, and you'll find out Tahuti said, know thyself, right? And so that is what you were saying. It's knowing who and what we are, who we are. If you tie that into kind of what you was touching on, one with God, there's universal laws, right? The first universal law is the law of oneness. That this universal law supersedes all other man-made laws, all other religious laws, right? It's the law of oneness. Now, religion itself pull pieces of these universal laws, right? And that's why most of your monotheistic religions, they say there's one God, right? There is one source, right? And so they were pulling from that because um, when the Bible or these books were put together, they were put together by men that studied the ancient texts, right? They studied ancient Egypt. When the man that's called Alexander the Great, we call him Alexander the Snake, right? Because he came into our lands, right, in Africa, where Egypt is, right? And one of the things they did was they invaded the libraries and they burnt them. They burnt them after they had took the certain knowledge and information, right? Fortunately, we were wise and we didn't put everything in books, right? So the masters, our ancient ancestors, had schools of knowledge and they passed down information, as they say, from mouth to ear. So these were things that was taught in our culture to our people. And one of them was knowing who we are and knowing that we are one with the universe, one with source. When Alexander and these Greeks and all these people that was invading the Greeks, Romans, and the Greeks actually studied Egypt. They're actually students, so they were a little better than the Romans, but they all had an agenda. But at the end of the day, what we gave them, they took that and created religion, right? And in doing that, they couldn't comprehend certain aspects of it because it was high spiritual information. But then they took that law of oneness, right, which was the universal laws, right? And this could be researched, right? Because if you go and you study Egypt, you look on the walls and you'll see planets, you'll see the stars, right? We had this knowledge way before, when Europeans at the time, they thought the earth was flat and they didn't have this information, right? So we gave them this information. So in short, they took it and created what's called religions, right? When they created the religions, they took pieces of it. They took pieces of that law of oneness and say, well, there's one God. But what they did was they made it outside of man. So when you study the laws of the universe, or even if you actually was to read the Bible, Quran, the books that most people profess to believe in but don't read, you'll find that it says we're one with God. It says we were created by God, right? We're in the image and likeness of God. And even in Genesis chapter 3, it says now the man has become one of us, right? You became like God, right? And that was a consciousness thing, which that could lead to a whole nother breakdown, which I love to talk about that, but we're going to try to stay on course. But it's the understanding that you are one with source. You're one with the universe. You are one with God. So when we're saying, know thyself, we're really telling somebody, know yourself, know that you are one with God, right? Know that, and if you're one with God, where is God? God is in you. Now, what does that mean, like on an everyday, basis, like when you're talking to somebody? So it's like, when I'm talking to someone and it's about business or it's just about life, it's about their relationship, their wife, it's saying, know yourself, right? What does that mean? If you know you're one with God, right, and you say God is all powerful, all knowing, there's nothing that God can't do. But if you're one with God, you don't have any limits either. So there's nothing that we can't do if we know ourselves.
The only limits that we have is the limits that we place on ourselves. As whatever his name says, that as a man thinketh, so he is. And it's because whatever you think, you become. I was seeing a study that they was doing, how they do the kinetic testing where you can do muscle testing. And if you say can't, your muscles are weaker. If you say something negative about yourself, like that you can't do, even if you in your physical thing you really can't do, like if you say I can't swim, even though you really can't swim, it makes your muscles weak. But if you say I can, and if you say, especially if you can say it with conviction, it makes your muscle, your muscles are stronger, and so it can't be moved. And so everything that you speak
And this is scientifically.
Yeah, this is science. Like, this is not no woo-hoo, woo-woo craziness or whatever. Like, this is real science. Like, you can really do it. Like, you can have a friend stand up and, you know, like really be doing the testing. Like, you can test people muscles of what's real and what's not. And so, but not only that, it was another study, you know, when they was doing the EKG studies and stuff like that, that every word that we speak, it sends off a magnetic vibration, and that vibration. And so it's like, you know how they always describe it as a radio station. And so everything in the universe is influenced by that vibration. Is not, so not only is your DNA being influenced by the vibration, every time you think a thought, it's a vibration. Every time you speak a word, it's a vibration. And so it going into your DNA, it's going into everything around you, and so the things that's matching that vibration will be coming towards you, and the things that don't match that vibration will be leaving you. And so your words have power. That's why I say in the beginning there was the word. And so we have lost our way. We have took these hocus pocus beliefs, and we forgot the power of the word because we're using our words against ourselves. We allowed them to put these spell bounds on us, and then we forgot our way. We lost our sense of who we are. And so then when you go tell somebody, command your power back, speak it, they look at you like you crazy, you know, because they don't know that they have the power to command power. Yes, like Reverend Ice say, if your knee is hurting, you command that knee to do what you wanted to do. You have the power to command it, but you have to know your power. You have to call your power back to yourself. You have to know that you have the power to do that. And see, a lot of people, they get so scared because they think only God got that power. You're right. And you got God is in you. God, and see, I hate how they say, oh, I hate how people be saying the universe is God and all of that. How can it not be God when God created all? God is all. If you're saying that we are limiting God, but no, you're limiting God because you only put in God in the sky. And so therefore, if you only can see God outside of you in the sky, you can never access that power. It's blocked off from you. You don't know who you are. Even in the Bible, it say, let the weak say, I am strong. It don't say tell the truth.
And also in the same Bible, it says, God says, command you me. You have the power to command the forces to do what you want them to do, right? And so knowing yourself in an everyday sense is when you see people, right, living in unsanitary conditions, right, living in filth, right, living a life of filth, living an undisciplined life, letting their kids act like they're grown when they're barely a teenager, right? Letting them wear any type of clothes, letting them say anything out of their mouth, any type of profanity, no discipline, no anything, right? That is somebody that has forgotten who they are, right? So for them to know their self, you got to get back to the roots. You got to look back to the roots. The roots, which this symbol Sankofa means, go back to the root. The root is God, right? Even if you look at it in an ancestral sense, looking back to your ancestors, our ancestors leave here and they go and they become one with God, right? Even in the books, the Bible, the books that we have of religion, because the books are books. What people are following is interpretation, right? So we're allowing somebody else's interpretation, which changes into indoctrination, and we're indoctrinated. Because if you to read the Bible, right, there's power in it. There's words that would transform your life, right? You look at somebody like Martin Luther King, somebody who read it and applied it. He said, I want to be Christ-like. So what did he do? He picked up the cross. You see what I'm saying? And he applied the teaching. Whereas most people, they're just indoctrinated. They're in a belief state. They're not in an experience state because they don't know their self. So if you don't know that you are one, that you have everything you need is inside of you, right? Everything you need is when you learn that, you can no longer be a slave, right? So when Harriet Tubman learned who she was, what did she do? She said, I'm free and I'm out of here. And she left. Right?
Yes, and she went build herself up, and then she came back
and got
to bring
other people
that
to
didn't
freedom.
Identify with being a slave.
Right.
She could have saved more if they knew they was a slave. And so she couldn't save nobody that didn't identify mentally with being a slave.
Right. So when you know who you are, you don't accept anything. Right. The problem with us as a people, we don't know who we are.
We don't.
We don't know who we are mentally, spiritually, physically, culturally, any of that. And so if a man doesn't know who he is, then another man is just going to dictate him. Another man is going to guide him, right? And so I always talk about finances because if you say these people have the power to control the economy, you're giving them that power. But if you know who you are, if you know thyself, then guess what? We existed in a time before there was money, right? We existed for tens of thousands of years before there was a thing called a dollar, right? And we lived fine.
Okay? We had different forms of currency.
We had, right.
Like even the shells used to be a form
that's right.
of currency.
And the thing is, think about that word right there. Currency. People don't understand. They call money currency. Why? What is a current? Current is energy, right? So you have to really understand the words that we're using, right? When we say know thyself, we're talking about know you, what you speaking, the language, the meaning, every aspect of you, right? So they call it currency because it's an energy. Money is an exchange. It's all an exchange of energy, right? Once you tap into that, once you know who and what you are, and you understand you are one with the source, you're one with the energy, right? Then you realize I can manifest money. But how you gonna manifest money? Not by just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna manifest $1 million," right? You think the thought, right? But the thought has to be powerful to you. You got to hold the thought long enough, right? And you manifest it through concentrating on that thought, right? Meditating on that thought, right? Visualizing that thought, seeing that thing manifest. And if you do all those things over a period of time, it will harden into what you call money, right? We call that creating a business. Everything I just said. Concentration, meditation, visualization equals manifestation, right? All of them have that ION at the end. ION denotes movement. So we got to get involved in the process. So if we know who and what we are, and people know some, because they say, well, I'm a child of God. If you're a child of God, then you are your father. You are God, right? And what did Jesus say? Is it not written in your law? I say ye are God's. If you turn to the book of Psalms, 82 verse 6, what does it say? Ye are gods, but ye shall die like men, right? You're going to die like a man, but you are God. So while you're here in the physical, you're supposed to be a representation. You see?
Because you are your first representation of God. And so it's just like if you are your only representation, because the only thing you know for a fact, the only thing, everything else is what you have a theory of, but the only thing you know for a fact is that you exist. And so if you know that, if that's the only thing that you know that exists, and so the conscious awareness that the conscious awareness itself is God, you know, and so that conscious awareness is in you, and so therefore you have access to that God power. Only thing you have to do is tap in and actually utilize it. And so that's the thing, when you don't know who you are, you're giving everybody else your power, because when you don't know who you are, you don't realize that everything that they're telling you on the TV, everything they're telling you to do at job, everything they told you to do at school, everything your family said, what the pastor said, what this person said, those becomes your core beliefs. It's not that you ever investigated to see if it's real, because like we said in one of the other classes, a multiple choice is not a choice. It's okay, these are your only options. It's the same way you do with a child. It's like, no, we're going to either have this or we're going to have this. You pick. But you don't get to choose. You know?
We're not thinking. The problem is we're not thinking. Right, we're not thinking because we don't know what thought is, and we don't know how to think, right? And we can't think because we don't even know how the mind works. We can't think because we're so stuck on what we see, right? We're not using one of the most powerful faculties we have, and that's a gift of imagination, right? Us as human beings, people on this planet, white, black, red, yellow, whatever you are, if you're not using your imagination, you might as well be a dog, a cat, animal, pig, horse, whatever, right? Because we have the ability to transform our lives, right? If you know yourself, if you know who and what you are, right? And that's why even when it was in the Bible, in the biblical aspect, in the book of Genesis, right? When they say, well, if you eat the apple, you're going to die. He said, no, you ain't going to die. Your eyes going to be open and become like God, right? And according to the story or whatever. We know it was, that's symbolic things. But at the end of the day, when they ate the apple, these gods said, now the man has become one of us, right? To know good and evil. Now you're conscious. Now you're awoke, right? So if the light is on and you're conscious of who and what you are like God. You become like God, right? Once your eyes are open, right? People don't want to accept who they are because there's a responsibility in it, right? There's a responsibility with knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they say, to whom much is given,
much is required.
Much is required, right? There's a responsibility that comes with knowledge. And guess what? Not everybody can handle knowledge, right? But you were designed to be able to handle any situation. Like we're literally created to fix problems. Our body is designed like that. When a disease comes, we have an immune system that it fights off things. We're created that way. Why? Because we were created by a creator, right? So we create, okay? But we have this ability called free will that most of us don't access that power, And so know thyself, right? We've been talking, we're talking on the spiritual aspect. Mentally, most of us don't know ourselves mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking to people, and you talk to a lot of young ladies, and you're like, man, their mindset, they don't understand how the mind works. They don't understand the conscious or subconscious. And
they don't understand themselves, most importantly. Right. It's like they don't have an idea of who they are. Like most people just know, I want to be happy and I want to be rich, and I want a partner that'll keep it real. But other than that, they don't have any definite answers of like, on what does this really look like for you? What truly makes you happy? Well, I don't know. I ain't been happy in so long. And so like this, like they don't truly know because they don't know themselves. And so most people never sat down and asked questions to themselves of like, well, why do I want this? What triggers me? What makes me happy? What makes me feel fulfilled? What makes me feel turned on? What turns me off? What makes me feel alive? What makes me feel depressed? What makes me feel excited? What makes me feel love? When am I at my best? When am I the most loving? When am I the most aggravated? What really aggravates me? What's the core of this? Okay, now I know that I'm saying that he aggravated me, but what's the real root of this? And so it's like most people don't truly understand who they are. It's just a whole bunch of projections of who they pretend and they want to be, but they don't really have a real true sense of who they truly are. And they can't even get to the spiritual part because they don't even know the physical part. Because the more that they understand the physical part of who they are, the more that they will get closer to understanding the spiritual part. Well, of course, the goal is to get to the spiritual part, but it's like it's so much development on the actual character itself that it takes so much to even get to that space of even calming your nervous system to be able to even tap into those higher energies of remembering the God essence of who you are. But it's like most people don't even know the basics. Right. Of who they are. They don't know what type of relationship they want. They don't know, like the crazy part, most women, they do not have a clear plan of what type of man they want, how they imagine the relationship to be, like, and a lot of even women, this type of man they say they want, they don't want it for real.
Well, where are they getting this from though? Where are they getting?
Because the things that they are watching, the things that they're listening to, the music that they're listening to, all of that is programming them. They thinking it's their thoughts, but it's not their thoughts. A lot of them even picking up on thoughts of the people that they're around, the people they're having sex with, the people that they're dealing with. And they don't realize that it's not all their thoughts. It's not all their energy because they just vacuums of like just sucking in everything. But they don't get enough time to filter through all of their energy. So they have no idea who they truly are. They're thinking that this is who they are. But
right. So, but would that come from, we're just talking about women. So that comes from basically what they just been programmed with by other women, right? Or in TV or whatever, right? That gives them A false sense of what womanhood
A
is.
false sense of power.
Power. Okay.
It's because that now, especially the media got us so programmed to think that feminine power is just sex. Feminine power is just knowing how to dress up cute, knowing how to put on some cute clothes, and having a vagina. But feminine power is so, feminine power is so much more than just those things. As a matter of fact, sex is really nothing unless you're truly tapped into your feminine power. Like, yeah, it feels good if you still going to get the job done, but once you really tap into knowing who you truly are, your body is going to surprise you. Your body is going to be able to do things that you never thought your body can do once you are truly tapped into your true power. But see, the thing is, most people, they're thinking that power is raw, because that's what the media put out.
Well, that's force.
That's force. It's not power.
We've all been, yeah. Sure.
And so we've been bamboozled, we've been manipulated. And therefore, that's why even a lot of the women that we are so depressed, because we are chasing something that's not bringing us happiness, because we're thinking the bag is going to make us happy. We're thinking that man is going to make us happy. We're thinking having the children, having the ring, having a business, being a boss, not needing nobody. That's what's going to make you happy. Oh, because I'm so independent, I can go buy what I want. But your depressed ass still going to be in that house crying by yourself. And it's not saying every woman need a husband, everybody need a mate or anything like that. But I'm saying none of that, nothing is going to make you happy until you know who you are.
Right. Happiness comes from
within. Yeah. And you got to know what drives you crazy a lot of the times before you know what makes you happy. You got to know what you don't want before you get to the space of knowing what you do want. So that's
what you mean, know yourself.
Know yourself, know everything.
In that aspect,
yes,
right.
Everything about you. Because you can't allow somebody else to know more about you than you know about you, because that way you're easy to be manipulated. You easily to be controlled. And so this man is watching your pattern, ladies. A lot of these men, they'll come in, they watch your patterns. You go on your first date. Yeah, I want a man that'll do this. I want a man that'll do that. I want a man that do this and then this and this and this. And he just observing. And then he said, okay, all I got to do is pretend I'm this. I got to pretend I'm that. I got to pretend I'm this. Or even vice versa. You tell a woman, we know how to act the role. And then it's like, oh, he was the perfect person. No, he wasn't, baby. He just doing what you say. Exactly. Right, he's a great actor. Yeah. But see, you say, oh, because they be lying. If you know who you are, you wouldn't have to go through any of that, because once you know who you are, it's like, when I'm not trying to control you, I'm coming in. I don't need, okay, we'll just see how it go. It's just like you go in, the moment we meet somebody, we want to have sex with them and we just lose our minds and, because, then we think that they're our forever person, right? And a lot of the times that we're being bamboozled because we're bamboozling ourselves. A lot of the time the men could even be being honest with them. Be telling them, I'm not any good. It ain't you, it's me. I got to get my stuff together, baby girl.
Well, now we on that. I've experienced is a lot of women seem like they want to be lied to.
We hear what we want to hear.
Yeah. So, it's
because why? I guess they don't know who they are.
Yeah, they don't know who they are.
It's not because they bad. It's not because they evil. It's not because they stupid. They just don't know who they are, because they thought who they are is just being fine or being cute. Right. They thought who they are is just saying that, hey, I know how to dress good and I know how to get a nigga to want me.
The crazy thing, what you're saying is, and not just to just stay on women, but because it all this applies to humans, men and women.
Majority of my people that come to me is women.
Yeah, they're women.
Yeah,
no, but
so I relate to.
But the thing is, definitely women, because the media, everything, they focus on the women, because men, we chase women, right? And life comes through a woman, at the end of the day, right? We go. Yeah, society goes wherever the woman goes. I mean, if you want to judge a society, look at its woman. So look at the black woman in America. Oof. And I'll leave that to people to ponder upon that, as they say. But when we think about it, knowing thyself, I always tell people, we study everything
except ourselves.
Right? You could talk to a young lady and she'll know everybody's life, all these reality stars.
Every celebrity.
Who they're married to, that and that, or that's her baby, that. They know every type of hair, they know every type of nails, they know this and that. Men is the same way. Brothers, you ain't off the hook either. We know everything, everything.
Every about, TV show, every rap person.
If you're in the guns, every gun, this, that, this and that. You know everything about a woman. Oh, women ain't this and that. But men or women don't know anything about ourselves, right? We don't study ourselves. Successful people always study themselves. They always do self work. They all do self work. Like you can check out anybody that is successful, right? And they'll tell you, man, I had to check myself. Right? They had to check themselves. You have to be self accountable. If you're in business, you got to always look at yourself. If your business isn't performing or your employees ain't doing good, whatever. If your marriage, whatever, if it's not going well, you have to look in the mirror and look at yourself, men or women. We got to always look at ourselves, right? So that's why we talk self-mastery.
Have you realized that the people that they always, like, you know, like the most depressed people, the most toxic people, they ain't never trying to check themselves. They always checking everybody else. It's like, let me tell you.
Yeah, about this one and that one.
Let me tell you. Baby, go tell yourself something.
Yeah, look in the mirror.
Yes.
Because we back to the universal laws. One of them is the law of cause and effect. You see, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You see what I'm saying? That's the law of cause and effect, right? I forgot how Jesus said in the Bible. Well, he said, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. It's the same thing. It was a law. That's a universal law, right?
What you reap is what you sow.
What you reap is what you sow. What you put out is what you're going to get back, right? So if you're in a relationship and people say, well, yeah, man, she wasn't this, she wasn't that. You know, when I'm talking to brothers, right? And they always, I'm like, how's your lady doing? Man, this or that. You telling me a million things about her, and I'm kind of looking. I'm like, well, what part did you play in it? What happened? Did y'all not communicate? Oh, her. It's her. She.
Or the women.
Nah, man, relationships don't work like that.
He's just crazy. He just got up one day and wanted to leave for no reason at all.
It doesn't happen like that, right? It took two people to be in a relationship because relationship, the key word is to relate. If you can't relate with one another, right, it's over with. It's all about relate. And that ain't got to be a sexual relationship. That could be a business, a partnership, friendships, any type of thing. It's all about relating, right? And the reason why most people cannot relate with somebody else is because they don't know themselves, right? They don't really know what they want. And a lot of people spend 10, 20 years with somebody
and have no idea who they are.
They don't even know who they've been sleeping with.
Don't even care to know, to be honest.
Yeah. So the only relating is in the bed. Right.
That's it.
And if that is as far as you want to go down the ladder with somebody, your life is always going to be in chaos. Right. Because the physical things cannot keep a relationship. I tell that to brothers all the time. Like we're bombarded with women. Like you go on social media, there's big butts and breasts everywhere. Right? So, but when you start thinking and moving like a man, right? I'm talking about a man, not a little boy. I'm talking about somebody that got responsibility, right? And then you move on up into the different degrees of manhood, right? Then you start realizing that will fade away. I don't care how big the butt is. I don't care how the breast is. I don't care how the outer parts of us wither away. Right? So, the superficial stuff is making it all about just the outer parts of us. It's like all about the superficial stuff. But the reality is that is going to fade away. I don't care how much. I usually don't name people, but I name them, like Madonna. I mean, Madonna, you see, like, what are you trying to hold on to? You damn near 80 years old. I don't care how many plastic surgery you do. You just gonna look like a plastic doll that's 80 years old, right? That's gonna fade away. If we would focus on what really matters, the internal aspects of us, how we treat each other, right? Now, I ain't saying, everybody wants somebody to look good or whatever, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? We so caught up in what they say is beauty, and a lot of my sisters, I even hear them talking about, they want the woman with the big gigantic butt. You keep buying a new butt every year, right? And none of my partners marrying no woman like that. You see what I'm saying? So you're listening to what somebody else is telling you. Men, when they're ready to marry, they marry a woman for more than just the outside. It's about, How we gonna keep this together? We have some kids. Do you got values? Do you got principles?
Don't marry. If a man married only for the physical part, he's going to be miserable. He's going to be depressed. And the same thing with a woman. A lot of women only want to get with men that they find attractive. Like, oh, he ain't fine enough. He ain't got enough money. Okay, so that's the only qualifications he have to have is money and to be fine, or only have the money. But what about the way he communicates? What about the way he handles stress? What about his values? What about his morals? Like, you don't, none of that matters to you. Like, none, that's not the high value. The high value is a man with money. And that's why you always mistreated. That's why you always been abused. That's why it's always, oh, these niggas ain't nothing. It's because that you are only going, you coming in with that thirsty energy. You're not coming in as a divine woman to being in your true power saying, okay, well, how do we reciprocate this energy? How do I add value to you as you add value to me?
How do we do something together?
How do we do something together? What is it that we are even trying to do together? And and if that's your motive, cool. But at the same time, this podcast is not for that target audience. And I'm not here, it's not even about judging anybody, anything like that. But our target audience is people that want to know who they are. Our target audience is people that have a sense of the God in them, the sense of empowerment, the sense of like community. And so our target audience is not superficial beings. And so if this is triggering, maybe it's not for you. But even if it is,
sometimes we need to be triggered because that's helping you learn ourselves, right? Because guess what? The person you see right now, I didn't come out the womb like this. You see what I'm saying? I've been reborn many times. And you could say the same thing. But that's what life is about, right? Life is about rebirth.
And you get to choose your rebirth. You get to choose who you become. You get to choose all of those things. But you can't if you don't know who you are, you're not choosing it. Somebody else is choosing it. Even if you say, okay, now I'm going to be a boss. You're not becoming a boss because you feel like this is who I truly am. This is my sole purpose. You're doing it because you're trying to compete with Susie. And Susie is not even worried about you. And so a lot of times we chasing things that we don't want because we don't know who we are. We're chasing people that we don't even like because we don't know who we are. We're trying to make a bunch of money to impress people we don't like because we don't know
and a lot
who
of
we
people
are.
don't even love themselves.
A lot of them, and oh my goodness, is really coming out. It's like a lot of the people that you are looking up to, a lot of the people that you are saying that you want to be like, a lot of the people that you are trying your best to live your life like, a lot of these people are depressed. A lot of these people, like, they may have a little money. Some of them don't even got no money, just to be real with you. A lot of the influencers, a lot of your influencers can't even pay their rent outside of somebody helping them. They can't even get food in the house without food stamps. And that's not to down anybody, but I'm saying, like, stop trying to look up to these people as gods. Stop trying to look up at these people as if they have the answer, as if they the ones that know it all. Like, no, get still, go within, ask yourself what it is that you want, who you are, what moves you, what drives you. Don't do it because you see this person with it, because the blessings that you see this person with, if you have them, they may drive you crazy. They may drive you insane because that's not truly what you want. You're not qualified to be able to have these things. It's not that you're not worthy of them, but they went through certain things in life that prepared them to be able to hold this position. And if you just end up getting this position, you're going to fumble it and it's going to drive you crazy because it's not what you truly wanted. And so you need to know yourself. You need to know who you are.
Yeah, that's key. You got to know who you are. And because, when we saying, think about the word God triggers some people and it confuses some people too, right? So sometimes when we speak, we use the word God, we're using it in a more metaphysical aspect. But if you talk about the Bible, it's a different type of aspect, right? But at the end of the day, God is something that's in control of another being that people give power to, right? And so a lot of people make other people gods and they're not even worthy of it, right? They're not even deserving of it. What does that mean, making a god? If I'm trying to emulate you, if I'm trying to do everything as you do, if I'm trying to dress like you, talk like you, I can't even explain why I'm doing it, but I'm just looking at you as if you're the image and I'm giving you all my attention, then that becomes a God to you. Unfortunately, the TV is a God to people.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's telling lies to you visually.
Music is a God.
Right? Music becomes a God to people if that's where you're putting all your time and energy and you're forsaking your children, right? And you watching other people creating lives that they want, because this reality stuff is fake. It's not real. It's not real. Even the word reality TV is a trick. But what they're telling you is we're creating your reality, because they're putting and pushing and marketing people that they want you to emulate. So they're picking the guys for you. Right.
There's people number one on billboards that can't even rap, so therefore, like, it's not real.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
it's an illusion. It's what they want. So they said, this is what a success is supposed to look like. So here you go.
Right.
This is what we want the women to be like this. Come on, put them up. Oh, we ain't gonna get them.
And that's why it's called programming. They're programming you. How many times you got in the car, you hear a song, you're like, this is garbage. How did this person?
And they play it 20 times.
But guess what? You get in the car every day. You hear it every day. And then next minute you bobbing your head. Right. They're programming you. Right. That's how they make mental slaves. How do you think our people were slaves for hundreds of years? Right. You know, the ones that believe they were slaves. I'm not talking about the ones that was, fighting for their freedom. I'm talking about the slave. Right. They programmed you over and over and over again.
Who's your God?
Right.
Say it again.
Say it again. What's your name?
What's your name?
And they made us forget who we
you
were.
belong to, boy.
Exactly. Right. And they made us forget who we were. Right. Now think about the first slave.
Ooh.
First slave, they went and kicked. Oh, they had a time.
They had a time.
Because he knew who he was. Man, I'm from this tribe. Man, I'm from here.
I'm from Kunta Kinte.
Yeah, you watched the movie Roots, right? Kunta Kinte. He was hard because, and then the other slave that had been there, they looking like,
nigga,
just why he acting like that, Because he knew he wasn't a slave. He knew he wasn't no slave.
He knew he was one with God. He knew he had that power. Right. He knew that he had just as much power as this white man that was beating this bull crap into him, trying to tell him his name was Toby. Toby, right. And he knew his ancestry. If you know your ancestry, because you know your power. His parents was from Africa. He was stolen from Africa. Oh, he was stolen from Africa. So I was wondering, was it his parents stolen from? Okay, no, his daughter was the one that he passed. It was her story.
Right. Okay, yeah. So, he knew his ancestry, right? Because he was straight from, the continent, right? And he was taken. So he knew his roots. So you couldn't tell him that's God, a man that he ain't never seen that don't even look like him. You gonna tell me that's God? He looked like you, but what looked like me ain't God. In his mind, he was free in his mind. So he might beat me. Right. They might have shackled him. Right. They might have beat him, but they couldn't shackle his mind. He went to the grave knowing who his God was. But the crazy part is, if you really even think about it, they couldn't even break him to even get to say that until he fell in love with the woman. But if they ain't seen the movie, they don't know. Unfortunately, a lot of people might not know Roots. But see, it's like they always trying to play tricks on you, of tricking you out of your power. If they can't trick you out of your power, then they have a tech that they used to manipulate the ones around you to be able to do things to trick you out of your power. But the one goal they was going to have is to have your damn power. Right. They want your power. But the key of what I was saying is, if you know your ancestry, you know where you come from, then you know God. Because think about it. Everything, in the Arabic language, they say Umi. And the Umi is the mother. The mother is the first teacher, right? The mother is the first teacher. You see what I'm saying? And she would teach you the lineage, your ancestry, and she would teach you who you came from. This is how, when women raise children, and they still do today, but unfortunately there's a lot that, so to speak. But she would teach you your ancestry, and she would teach you the greatness of your foreparents, right? What she was teaching you about was your history, which is your lineage to God. Think about it now. So they taught us to hate our ancestry. Yep. That was a trick in slavery, because they had to tell you your ancestors was bad in order to make themselves look good. Or to tell you that it was evil to acknowledge your ancestors once they're gone, but you can acknowledge you can acknowledge their ancestry because they made Jesus look like them. So subliminally, when I see this white guy, he looks like you, and you say this is God, right? And I see myself, I'm already being programmed to think all of my ancestry, all my bloodline is bad, right? All of my cultural practices is bad, which existed for tens of thousands of years prior to you being here, are bad, right? So this is all programming, you see, and it makes you hate yourself. So also knowing yourself is knowing where you come from. It's knowing why we do certain things. You see what I'm saying? It's knowing why you're wired the way you're wired. Why we think the way we think. Why do us as a people, why we move the way we move, why we dance the way we dance. that comes from your ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes from your ancestry. Slavery was not just putting chains on you. We were robbed of our religion, our culture, our God. And many of us, by the way we act, even lost our minds.
Yes.
You see?
Mm-hmm. We were
I think that was Khalil Muhammad that said that.
Power.
Right. So this was taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And guess what? Now, in this day and age, with all the knowledge we have, we still letting people trick us out of our power with crazy so-called reality shows, right? They're giving us a perception of what success is, right? Success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. That's what it is. Success for me is not success for you. You see what I'm saying? Success is personal. And if people realize that success is personal, then they would understand that it's okay to be in your lane and do your thing.
And break down exactly what that means, because I think that a lot of people probably feel like that's vague. And so, like, example would be like a woman that her whole life, she just wanted to be a school teacher. And if she became a school teacher, became one of the best school teachers she could become, she's successful.
Right.
But
that's
to
her
somebody
version
else
of success.
that maybe like, oh, she ain't making no money. But she didn't want to do anything else but be a school teacher. And so regardless of what you say, that person is still successful.
Exactly.
But if a person only wanted to be a teacher and meanwhile they end up becoming a lawyer because this is what they felt like they had to do for money, I mean, would they still be successful?
They would not be successful.
But why not?
Because what they consider their peak or what's a worthy goal for them was to be the school teacher. But they needed to make some money. So they end up sticking with this job and gave up their dream of being a school teacher. You see? So that means they conformed because of money and they gave up their dream. So success is not based off of wealth or money. That's part of the illusion. That's because they want us to focus on money, which is a paper dollar.
So they can
paper dollar, right? Because they entrap you and make you a slave for the dollar. The dollar is not wealth. Wealth is created here. Money is created in the mind first, right? The richest, most wealthiest people create and print their own money, but they do it here first, right? You are the currency. You are the currency because currency is an energy. We got a class. You can go to the website. There's one on wealth creation that I did a whole breakdown on it. But we got to do it again because we got to be redundantly breaking this down. But so success is a personal thing. So think about it. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. So what is it? First, the idea must be worthy. So if you say, well, I want to be an entertainer, I want to be a rapper. Who determines is that worthy? How many people out there that say, I want to be a rapper, and then somebody say, man, you need to forget that dream. You need to go work at the plant. Right? Can't nobody tell you how to dream. That's our problem. We let people tell us how to dream. If you got a mind and imagination, you should be dreaming. Right? It don't cost nothing. I love Dame Dash. I always say, man, you act like it costs something to dream. It doesn't cost anything to dream. Right? Wealth is created from the dream. It's created in the imagination first. Right? But is it worthy for you? Now, if somebody says they want to do this type of business, to me, it might not make sense. And there's a lot of times when people come and I help them in their business, and I'm like, personally, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that. But that's personal. What does he feel personally? Is it a worthy idea for him? He said, man,
are you trying to do it because
this is all I always wanted to do?
Or it's because you always wanted to do it?
Right. And if it's something you always wanted to do, it's a worthy, right? Then my next question is, right, are you willing to do what it takes to reach your goal? What do you mean willing? Are you willing to sacrifice? Right. Right now, this what I'm doing, it takes sacrifice. It takes time. I could be watching the basketball game. I could be kicking it with my partners, drinking, right? But this is worthy to me. To some people, it's like, man, this dude, he just wants to talk and teach people. That ain't nothing, right? But this is worthy to me. We all must define what we want. And when talking to people don't know what they want because they do not know themselves. Okay? You don't know what you want because you don't know who you are. So if you don't know the root of you is God, and God has no limits, then you will live a limited life. You will always live a life thinking these people have, oh, because they was born with it. Oh, because she prettier. Because she light skinned. Because his hair this.
He was born over
Because
there.
he was born over
raised
there.
over there. They went to that school.
And that becomes a reality. Those beliefs harden in people's minds. They're really in the subconscious mind. We have a conscious and a subconscious. Buried in people's subconscious are your fears, your beliefs, your triggers, your likes, your dislikes. We subconsciously, most people hate themselves, right? And most of us subconsciously cast spells on ourselves with the words we use. So we say things like, I'm broke. I'm not able, right? I don't have it like that. We speak in negative connotations. And if you believe this, if your core beliefs are this, it will play out in your life. You will always live an unfulfilled life. Excuse me.
But and if you are in that energy, if you are a very negative person, you always thinking the worst case scenario when it comes to yourself. Because I realize that most people, they're not even an enemy to others. They're more of an enemy to themselves than they are to others. And so, but if you realize that you have been an enemy to yourself with your thinking about yourself, or how you use your words about yourself, the thoughts that you think about yourself, then that doesn't have to be that doesn't have to be your reality. That doesn't have to be what you accept. That's what Masternomics is about. We teach you how to reprogram that. We teach you how to go into that subconscious mind and make new agreements and new beliefs. Because just because that's the core thing that you have been programmed so far, that you're not worthy, that you are not enough, that you have to do this to please people, that you have to do this to be accepted, that you can't be yourself and make people like you, and things like that. If that's the only way you feel about yourself, if you feel like, oh, ain't no man gonna want me, and oh, these women ain't honest, these women untrustworthy, those are the only things that you're thinking, that's only because that's what you have been programmed, or what you've been watching, what you've been listening to, the conversations you've been having the longest. But if you just offset it, honey, if you just start watching things that say otherwise, if you start listening to things, if you start surrounding yourself around people that have a different reality, and then you too will be able to reprogram your subconscious mind to accept something differently. That you only accepting the bull crap is because that's the only thing you're surrounding yourself around. Those are the only conversations you're having. That's the only thing that you are paying attention to. That's what you're giving your power to, because your power is your attention. When we're saying your power is your attention, even if somebody say, oh, I don't like you. Okay.
Right.
But if I say, oh, why you don't like me? Oh, you this. Oh, let me tell you why everybody should like me. Right. And I'm giving my power to that person.
Giving your power.
I'm making that person my God.
That's right.
Sure. And it's not because I'm bowing to them, but I'm saying you have so much power over me that I can't even function. And now that you said you don't like me, I really need you to like me. Oh, well, I don't like you either. And let me just show you.
You spending your whole day trying to post something about somebody. Yes. I'm about to go live on her.
Right.
A nothing? You don't live on a nothing, nobody. Yes.
And that's why I don't argue on social media when people do the little slick little posting here. I'm not about to empower your weak ass. You already a big enemy to yourself. You don't have them help. You don't need my help. Right. You're destroying your own life with your own thoughts. I don't entertain weak crap, because I know the only problem you ever had is you forgot who you are. You think I'm your enemy because you forgot who you are. You think that I think I'm better than you because you forgot who you are. You think that I think I'm all up here and then I'm the biggest problem in your life is because you forgot who you are. Right. And so I'm saying, remember who you are. Call your power back to yourself. Once you know who you are, you don't allow outside people to dictate you. You stop saying, let me match this energy and let me maintain mine. Because once you're matching energy, right, you letting it be your goal. You empowering it.
Thank you. You're getting on their level. Think about what they're saying. I'm going to match their energy. That's the most craziest thing in the world that we could do.
You're depleting yourself.
You're depleting yourself. You're up here. If somebody thinks, if they say he think he better than me, they're saying he's better than them. If somebody say, man, Chris think he better than me, I must be. You think that.
But if
Chris don't know you. I don't know
who you are, brother. You could be better too.
Right, exactly. No, it ain't that I think I'm better than somebody. I think highly of myself. And if you don't think highly of yourself, then by your own admission, I am better than you. You see what I'm saying? So it's not what people believe about you, it's what you believe about yourself. And most people don't believe they have power. Most people believe they're poor. Most people believe they can't do it. Most people believe that this person is better than them. So they live their lives out like that. So we're saying know thyself is know that you have the power and know that you have given your power to people. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, think about all of the focus we give outside of ourselves. How many people, everyday people, really meditate? Take time to just be still for themselves. People don't even take time for themselves, right? Because we give our power.
I haven't, and this is when I'm coaching women. That's why when you say, okay, well, you need to go meditate, you need to go do this. When you give them the techniques, and they say, here it is, 2 weeks later, they want to call you again with the same problem. Well, did you go meditate? Did you do your spiritual bath? Did you do those things? Well, I ain't had time. Well, okay.
Right. We make time for what we want.
But that's the spiritual part should not be something you make time for. Right. You should make time for the other things. The spiritual part, that should be a commandment for yourself. Right. Because you are always going to be miserable. You're always going to be depressed if you're not doing things that help you call your power and your energy back to yourself. You have to do something, especially if you have a weak mindset, especially if you have weak energy, if you've been raised in a toxic family like me, if you've been raised around people that didn't speak life into you, people that didn't know who they are. I wasn't raised in a family that know who they are, and so therefore I wasn't raised in my power. But once I got into the space of being surrounding myself around different beings, I started to think different. Then I started to realize that I am worthy, that I am enough. And so once you know that you are worthy, once you know that you are enough, then you won't allow people to just come in and dictate how you're moving and what's going on with you. Now, of course, it takes work to get there, right. But you got to know, you got to know yourself, and you got to know yourself more. You got to know, you have to have a better sense of yourself than you have of anyone else. Like, you don't need to be worried about what they are doing and how they're moving and how they pray and any of that. I guess if
who they sleeping with, how many people they sleeping with,
none of that is your concern.
Yeah, who cares?
If you put more focus into yourself, like if you see a woman or you see a man and you be like, oh, they swear they something. Instead of worrying about it, they think that they're all that. You need to go ask yourself why you don't think that you're all that.
Right. Why you don't have the confidence that they have.
Oh, that man swear he this, he got that. Well, you need to go get in the mirror and talk to yourself until you feel that you are worthy of the same things. Like, stop trying to bring this brother down just because that you are not embodying your God power because you forgot who you are. You're mad at people because they remember who they are. You mad at God for blessing people for doing their work. Right. They're doing the work and God blessing them, and you mad. You mad because God is not blessing the work that you're not doing. The reason that you don't have it is because you're not doing the work. If you just do the work, then you too can have those same things. Right. It's not only some people have access to the power.
No.
It's not
all.
And the ones that want to control you, they love to put the God in the sky and say it's judging if you're good or if you're bad, if you nice or if you mean. No. There is no energy that's sitting here dictating if you are good enough or you're not, because you're always good enough. You're always worthy. You're always enough. You're always God. Like, it doesn't matter what you have done. It doesn't matter how many sins you have committed. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen short. It's not to get yourself off the excuse and say you don't show up as your higher self, but no matter how low you have fallen, you still have the power to get back up and recreate yourself because you have the power within you. Only thing you have to do is command your power. Remember who you are. Remember that you are worthy. Remember that you are enough. Because the only time people harm others is when they don't know who they are.
That's right.
Only time people harm others is when they forgot that they are one with God. Only way that I want to control you was because I'm not controlling myself. And so that's the biggest message, is learn how to control yourself. Learn who you are. Learn what triggers you. Learn what makes you happy. Learn what makes you feel alive. Learn what makes you feel disrespected. Learn what makes you feel excited. Learn what makes you feel depressed. Learn what brings you back to life whenever you feel low. There's a million practice to do spiritual things to bring yourself back. You don't have to be sitting in meditation all day.
That's right.
You can literally just get a piece of paper and write down 15 things that you're thankful for, and it'll help you go back into a receptive mode. You can go outside and say, I'm just going to look at the trees. Every time I'm realizing that I'm thinking a different thought, I'm going to go back to looking at the trees and thinking something about the trees. That's a meditation in itself. You can talk to water, because water hold, the molecules in water, it forms to the words that you're speaking to it, so it hold memory. You can speak to water and then drink the water. That's a form of a meditation. It's because you're focusing in on that water and you're telling that water what to do, and then you're drinking it. there's so many things that you can do that be bringing your power back to yourself. And so it's pretty much like making your life become a sacred ritual of reminding yourself that you're one with God. Because the more you're reminding yourself that you're one with God, the more practices that you do to help you bring back the power of God, or releasing other people's energy and bringing more energy back into you, or cleansing the energy. The more things that you do in that nature, the more powerful you're going to become, the more magnetic you're going to become, because you are going to be back into your God energy, your God oneness, of remembering that you are one with everything, and everything is one with you. And so that's the biggest thing, is remember who you are, love who you are. So know thyself, be thyself, love thyself, trust thyself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Knowing, know
Become
thyself.
obsessed with yourself.
Yeah. It plays out in every facet of your life. And that's what conscious means, to be aware.
And people can feel the energy when you don't love yourself.
Right. It's to be aware how you have control of everything around you. Stop thinking that everything around you controls you. Right. So if you understand I'm one with God, I'm one with the source, right? Then I have control. That's the biggest thing people don't understand, that you control your life. Your life is for you. Okay, so whatever you decide to do, from whatever you want to be, that's a personal thing. There is no God in the sky that's rewards people with money.
It's
the
not.
Bible even says God is no respecter of a person. He don't care if you're a doctor or a lawyer. He don't care if you're an entertainer. You believe in some God that's entertained by what men do? You see what I'm saying? These are concepts that was created to keep you under control, to keep you subjugated,
to keep you looking outside of yourself,
looking outside of yourself, as opposed to accessing the power within you. If you read in he's in Exodus, I forget the chapter. We'll make sure you can see it right. According to the story, Moses was trying to free his people from Pharaoh. Right, according to the story. We can get into all that and break down, that Moses was really Egyptian himself. He was raised by the Pharaoh. These were really all of the same people when you're talking about Israelites and the original Egyptians. But according to the story, God told Moses, I have made you a God to Pharaoh.
So how can God make a man, Moses, a God?
Exactly.
If,
God told Moses, I have made you a God to Pharaoh.
And so when he made him a God to him, what does that mean, though?
That means he all Pharaoh could think about was, I got to get rid of this Moses dude, right? I got to stop him. And guess what? When he said, when Moses came to him,
so technically Pharaoh was more like, he made him I'm a hater of you, right? Because I'm so obsessed with you. You're my God because I'm so obsessed with you.
Right. He empowered, because that was his every thought. Moses was his every thought.
Wow.
Right. And then guess what? According to the story, when Moses came to him, and what did Pharaoh say? Who sent you? How did Moses answer?
I am. That I am.
I am.
So therefore I said myself.
I am. God had told him, you are a God to him. And when he was asked who sent you, he said, I am. Right?
Because God,
that is the most powerful statement that we have. I am. Whatever you say after I am.
What you add to I am, you add to you.
You're adding to you. You become whatever comes after I am. So if you say I am rich, you will be rich. If you say I am poor, you will be poor. Right? And so that's why the scripture says, let the weak say I am strong. This is our psychology. This is our mindset.
You're not commanded.
Command your power, right? So we command power with the words that we use. Okay? And so when you know yourself, when you just tap into it, of course, everybody doesn't know everything, and some people are just learning. But when you learn that little piece that says, I'm connected to God, God ain't outside of me, God is inside and everywhere around me, then whenever in doubt, tap into that. And speak it in a positive aspect, right? Realize this, another one of the universal laws is the law of abundance. What does that mean? There's enough energy or money for whatever you want. There's not a limit.
There's no lack.
There's no lack.
Lack is just
we
the
live
energy.
in abundance, right? So when you really want something, I don't care how much it costs. If you really want it, you can get it. You just got to figure out how to get it. And a lot of times, it's not the money you need, right? It's just focus on what you want, okay? And that's back to the relationships. People don't know what they want. They say, "Well, I want this type of man," okay? And they think I need to do this to get that type of man. I got to do this to myself. I got to do that to get. And you get that man, you don't have him for long. And he said, "Well, yeah, I liked you, but I really like this in a woman." You see? So you got to focus on what you want. But you'll never know what you truly want if you don't know yourself. So you got to know yourself. Right?
And a lot of times, even if you're saying, I really don't know what it is I want, go make a list and write out everything you don't want. And so you can go write, here's my favorite practice that I give to people. It's in one of our courses is you go and you write out a list of everything that you think is wrong. So I don't like this about my life. I don't like this about myself. I don't like this about my relationship. I don't like this about my finances. I don't like this about my family. I don't like this about my man. I don't like this about my coworkers. I don't like this about my church. I don't like this about whatever. Write out everything that you could think of. Because one thing we know is people can go on and on for days about the shit that they don't like. It's the stuff that they do like that they have a brain freeze with. And so go on and write everything that you don't like. And once you see what it is that you don't like, you could ask yourself, where did this thinking come from? But see, I'm a person that I only ask where the thinking come from if I feel like it's bothering me so bad that I need to get to the core of it even deeper. But more than anything, I just say, that is an important part, but the why is not as important as the next step of saying, well, what am I going to do about it? And so now that I see what I don't like, well, what is it that I do want? And so if I don't want this, well, what would the opposite of this be? And so now that I wrote down everything I don't like, I can write down where it come from. But then the most important part would be, now this is what I want. So I want my life to look like this. I want the world to look like this. I want the people around me to act like this or feel like this, or, because you can't control how people act, but you can have an idea of how you want it to be. I want my relationships to move like this. I want my relationship with my children to be like this. And so once you write that out, then you say, well, who do I have to become in order to embody this? How do I embody this energy? Well, okay, if I want a relationship like this, if I want my man to treat me like this or see me in this way, or, move like this, okay, well, what energy do I need to be embodying to make him even want to do those things for me? What energy do I need to be embodying that I'm attracting those things? Okay, if I want to have a better relationship with my children, okay, well, how do I speak to my children? How am I around my children? Well, what is it about me that I need to shift in the relationship of how I'm communicating with my children? And so a lot of times you can't really know exactly what it is that you do want until you have an idea what it is that you don't want. And once you do know, but it's still up to you to have that responsibility, because to whom much is given, much is required. And so you still have to do the work. You still have to show up. You still have to check and correct yourself. You still have to be responsible. You can't be a victim of saying, well, I want it like this, but I can't have like this because he's stupid, they dumb, this person this person that. You have to be worried about you. And once you figure it out for you, everything else will, move accordingly to that new vibration.
Yep. And the piggyback off of what you were saying, when you say people, they'll say what they don't like. They'll say what they don't want. Whether it's somebody living in, from paycheck to paycheck or in a bad relationship, they'll complain about it. Right? So you're like, okay, so you say you don't like this, but yet you continue to stay in this situation. What causes people to do that is in the mind. It's in your subconscious mind, right? So you're addicted. A lot of people are addicted to trauma.
Oh, they're addicted to chaos.
They're addicted to chaos. They don't really realize it. Okay, so their problem is their addiction, because the person is who they are, and they've shown you that over and over again. So this thing called the knowing and doing gap. So people say, if you know better, you should do better, but that most of the time doesn't happen. Because you can see a woman that's abused by a man, that's a man putting his hands on her, and she'll go back to her. And you say, well, you know better than that, right? You know, if he hits you, he could kill you. Yeah, I know better. But they don't do better. It's psychological. She psychologically hates herself, right? And it's something embedded in the subconscious mind.
And so she had to be with somebody that reflect to her how she feel about herself. And so too good of a guy, too nice of a guy, oh, he lame, oh, he corny. You know, so that's why I'm saying when I said earlier that a lot of women, they say they want something that they don't truly want. Exactly. It's because that you saying you want to be respected, but if you get a guy that's opening the doors and he's actually respecting you, and then you say, girl, he too lame. I remember seeing a TikTok and a lady girl said, well, oh, he too nice, but I need my guy to send me through a psych ward just a little bit, something like that. And it just, and it had so many likes and views, and it was just so sad to me because it was like, dang, you hate yourself that much. Yeah. You know, like you're that disconnected from who you truly are. And so therefore a lot of people, they're miserable in relationships because they're miserable with themselves. It's like they need somebody to reflect back to them that chaos and that trauma.
And that's why their life, they have such poor results. That's even why there's so many women that have multiple kids for multiple different people. But when you talk to him about this baby daddy, that baby daddy, it's the same dude. He's just in a different body.
And none of them take care of kids.
Exact.
None of them provide.
None of mine do this for that, do this for their kids. It's like, well,
all I'm disrespect you.
You know, I definitely don't condone bad behavior, a man not taking care of his kids. But I also have to ask you, what type of men are you looking for? How do you attract the same guy over and over again 5 times? Right? So you have to say it's got to be something wrong with you. Right? What are you presenting to this?
It's these men, because they just be lying.
Nah, you lying to yourself.
Because they all said that they were going to keep it real.
Yeah. And you lied to yourself because you said, this time I'm going to do something different. But you didn't do nothing different. You didn't change up how you relate to the guy. You didn't ask any of the right questions. You didn't ask, right, does he live by himself? Has he ever taken care of himself? Does he have any ambitions? Where he see himself in 5 years? You didn't ask none of that. You got in the bed with him after you met whatever, after the party or whatever. Oh, he flashed some money on you, right? And so people don't really know what they want because they don't ask the question.
They just know they want money.
We're taught to not question ourselves. We're taught that people, when they talk to themselves, they would say, you crazy. Those are some of the smartest people. All your intellectual people, they have self-conversations. Yeah. They have what's called self-communication.
I only talk to myself when I need expert advice.
Right. I talk to myself all the time. Why? Because what you're doing, you realize you have a conscious and a subconscious. So you have to communicate with yourself. Before you make a decision, before I make a business move or make an investment, I'm asking myself, do I really want to partner with this person? How does this guy act? I remember how he acted before. So you have to talk to think it out. Right? That's what thinking is. And that's what we don't do. People that don't have self-communication, they just react. Right?
They don't know who they are.
Right. And you react off of, dang, she look good. I got to hit that. And you do it. You hit it, right? But then guess what? 2 weeks later, man, she crazy. But you got her pregnant now. Right? So you weren't thinking. Maybe you should have talked to yourself. You should have listened to the voice in your head that was that voice of reasoning. Right? Because they don't make us focus or teach us about the higher faculties. The will, intuition, reasoning, perception, imagination. We don't use none of that. All we use is what we see and how it's going to feel, right? And we let that govern our lives. And guess what? You might get a pretty woman or you might get this handsome dude, right? But guess what? It gives poor results because we don't even know who we lay down with. We don't even communicate with these people, them, let alone ourselves. Right. And so knowing yourself plays out in every aspect of our lives, you know, every aspect. So
you can solve any problem once you tap into the energy of knowing who you are.
Who you are. Right. Yeah.
Like everything could be worked out once you tap into the problem. I mean, into the energy of remembering who you are. Like remembering who you are will bring all your power back to yourself because then you'll realize that, dang, the only problem I ever really had is I forgot who I am.
Who I was, man.
You think something is wrong with your life. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you broke. I don't care if you don't have a car. I don't care if you don't have a house. I don't care if you can't help, you know, like have a baby or whatever. You think those are the problems. The real problem is you forgot who you are. You forgot your power. You forgot that you too are God. And so that you thinking that it's these things, but these things are really just reflecting the bull crap that you have been programmed and what's going on inside of your mind. But once you remember who you are, you realize that those things are not truly the problem. Like the only real problem is your thinking. The only real problem is your thoughts about yourself and how you feel about yourself. That's the biggest problem. It's not even what Susie think about you, what John think about you, or anybody else. It's what you are thinking about you and the things that you are saying about you.
Yeah.
And the things that you think about yourself, the things that you say about yourself is always going to reflect in your life. If you're seeing someone and they living in filth, if you're seeing someone and their house is dirty, if you're seeing someone and it's just like, it's just clutter everywhere, I guarantee you, I don't know, but the people I've met, I've never met a person that lived like that and they mentally stable. I've never in my life met a person and they live like that and that they have a true sense of who they truly are, like to the place of embodying it. And so it's just like the clutter, it causes mental illness. It causes you to feel depressed. Even in feng shui, it tells you if you move like 24 items that it'll uplift your mood. When I'm in a place that I'm so overwhelmed and I'm just not, like, cause it's not that you always got to be clean or anything like that, but it's like in a place when I'm so overwhelmed and the house just, like the laundry pile a little too much and the dishes there and all of that.
We all live lives, but it becomes overwhelming. Dwelling there, like
and it'll
people that
play tricks on my mind.
Right.
But once I clean it, once I move that stuff around, or even if the house get clean and I'm still feeling that stagnant energy, but then I go move a room around, I go move some stuff around, it completely shifts the energy because you moving, because your house represents you. Your house, the state of your home is representing the state of your mind. It's representing the state of your energy. And so even the people that and it's not that people with clean houses can't be depressed or anything like that, because they too can be depressed. It's because they, like they're still not taking their time. But a lot of the times your state around you is reflecting what is going on inside of you.
Yeah, it's all it's all psychological. Your body is the house of God. Your body is your temple. And you take care of it internally first, and then everything outside of it will start to be put in order. So that's actually a good ritual that I do my best thinking when I'm cleaning up. Like, because I'm busy, I throw stuff here and there. But, on the weekend when I had that time, like I do the best thinking. Like it's meditative when I'm putting things in order. And then it's like I did something and I can sit down and it's like, downloads, information just comes to me, right? Because I cleaned out clutter, right? Or if I have an old junk car just sitting in the driveway and you need a new one, move it out of the way. Get rid of old junk, clear it up out of your life. Everything holds energy and everything is symbolic of something, and it all plays a part of your psyche.
Everything.
So, in closing, know thyself.
Don't forget, you got to mention the taste of Africa. And you need to also mention what else we got to be holding ourselves accountable with this.
We have.
Oh, and send us a little cash app too. Send us a cash app.
Drop a cash app so we can keep this going. But in closing, part of knowing yourself is knowing history, your culture. So we have the Taste of Africa, which is a company that's a music, arts, and culture company. And we have a festival every year. It's the second annual festival, and it's November 13th to the 16th this year. It's in Ghana. And it unites people, melanated people from all around the world. Every continent come together for music entertainment, but we also come together. The core principle is to do business, commerce, like what Marcus Garvey said. Not that we have to all move back to Africa, but we have to plant our roots back to Africa, because Africa has a lot of opportunities for economic development, economic empowerment, and we can exchange, we can establish businesses, and we have forms of investment. So at the festival, we have a business forum, we have entertainment, we have fashion, people from all over the world. You can get introduced to a lot of investments. You can go to culturaloneness.com. The festival is the Cultural Oneness Festival. I myself am a chief Sona of the Tolan traditional area of northern Ghana. I was skinned as a chief last year. My wife right by my side, she's the queen mother. And I was skinned because as my name that I was given, help others. I dedicated my life to helping others. And when I connected my roots ancestry was in West Africa. And so there we're helping develop that area as we already do here. So as you should know, we have the Masternomics Institute of Learning here, and that's what you're kind of listening to the podcast. But we put out information that helps develop people mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, in every aspect. But we don't stop just here on this continent. So we spread in there. Here we have the Phoenix Land Development Project. Phoenix Land Development is our project. It is our plan, and we're building a community right here in Alabama, in Greene County, which is a black county. So we came back to our roots here in the United States, right? And we're building a sustainable community. We already have I Am Farms, and we have seed farms where we grow produce, and we're networking with other brothers that are farmers that have fish farms, cattle, chicken. And we're connecting it. So part of our plan, we will have our own grocery store, right, to service not just our people but people, right? We have the community where we have the homes. We have an entertainment complex. We have the Masternomics Institute of Learning, which is a school of higher learning, which teaches entrepreneurship, but most importantly, the development of the mind. And we have a K through 12 school. We have the ministries, which is the universal teachings of the Most High and the Seed of Life Ministries. And we teach spirituality that encompasses all religions. So we're not judgmental, no matter what religion you choose, what path you started off on, that you was introduced to. We welcome, but we teach a oneness of mankind through spirituality. And that comes by way of studying. You study ancient Africa, you'll find that's where the science and the spirituality was started, because that's where civilization was started. So we go all the way to the root, and we unite mankind, we unite people. So these are some of the things that make us move, right? And this is what we're about. This is my wife. We came together for this purpose. We also love each other. We love the way we look,
but we grew to love each other.
Yeah.
What connected us was this purpose. Yes. Like this is what intrigued me. This is what had us standing out in the cold for hours talking, is because we both are very passionate people when it comes to community. We're very passionate about saving ourselves, or being who we truly are. And so I'm still a baby to knowledge, but I am dedicated to sharing the things that I have shared on my journey, because I didn't come from a successful family. I didn't come from a family that even had any type of spiritual knowledge, or a family that had any type of sense of who they are, or so I came from a toxic family, just to be honest. And so, but even with the things that I came from, the things that I had to endure as a child, I still used the knowledge, and it transformed everything within me. And so when the things that we're telling you about, the things that we're teaching about in this podcast, are the things that we apply to our lives, the things that really worked for us. This is not something we watched on YouTube. This is not something we read in a book. It's not that we didn't watch it or hear it in a book, or, read it in a book or things at all. But these are the things that we apply. These are the things that say, okay, this is what worked for me. Not saying it have to work for you, but I'm just willing to be a vessel of saying, okay, these things transformed me. These things helped me recreate myself. And so I'm dedicated to sharing these things to help you be able to tap into your power to remember the same thing. And that was a beautiful thing that brought me to Martin, Chris, Chief, Song, not like all of these different titles, because all of the titles is still nothing compared to the God body of who he truly is. I was attracted to the how he have a deep sense of knowing who he is. I love his knowledge. I love the way his mind works. But more than anything, all of those things are intriguing. It's his passion and his love for community. It's his passion and his love for the people. It's his passion and his love for God, for all. And so those are the things that brought us together, and that's why we are here. And so when we, it's not we're trying to say that, hey, we are the power couple, or we are the ones, or anything like that. But it works for our arrangement, work for us, because we're both being guided in the same direction. We have the same purpose. We have the same mission. And so I'm not being depleted by trying to help a mission that I don't believe in, and he's not being depleted with a woman that don't believe in the mission.
Right. This is our thing, which is us, but it's the other people in the community that make this move. It's an our thing, right? And what we mean by that is like you were just saying, this is what we do. This is what we live. The Phoenix movement, this land development was birthed out of us wanting to recreate Black Wall Street. We started the OW Gurley Community Center, right? We did that some years back, right? Use our own money, we got it out of the mud, and built a community center and started the programs, and Masternomics and a lot of the things that you're seeing now. We live this every day. This is not. I'm not on here. We're not here just to scam or give a fake life. Like every day of my life, I'm helping somebody develop a business, investments. I'm investing.
You be helping with relationship problems, everything.
Everything,
right? Call him about everything.
And we don't care about who this person sleeps with, how many people they sleep with, what you believe. Only thing we care is
how you say God.
We don't care about that. Only thing we care is, do you want to be a better version of yourself? That's it, right?
Whatever that may look like for you.
Whatever that looks like for you, and as long as it doesn't hurt another person or impede upon someone else, then we want to help people reach that, right? So we're just genuine in that aspect. And what we found when you're building is that you run into a lot of people that don't know themselves. And so what that caused me was to get back to the roots. It caused us to say, you know what? We go back to the roots. The roots is spirituality. We had a thing that we always said when we started the Seed of Life. The Seed of Life has been around for a long time. But when I met my wife, Sabrina, it reignited. And SEED stands for Self-Empowerment Equals Deliverance. You see the symbol right here, the seed. You see the hand, right, with the DNA strand, and you see that lotus flower, which is the flower of life. All of this is in all of us. The helping hand you're looking for is at the end of your own arm.
You're your savior.
And what is in you, in your DNA, as you see in the symbol, is what people call God. That flower of life is a symbol of life as we know it. We are all connected, right? And so we had a saying that we said, we always said amongst ourselves, we want to teach financial literacy and we want to empower people financially. But we don't want to empower people that do not love themselves and do not love themselves or their kind. Because when we empower those type of people, we're adding to the problem, right? So us going back to our roots is saying we're going back to spirituality, right? And make sure we're empowering the right types of people that we can create communities with, and people that want to have families and want to, add value to society. So that's what we're doing. Hey, so until we meet again.
Deuces.
Peace, love.